Good afternoon, everyone. It is June 27th, last class of June, week number 11. Now, this was supposed to be our first presentation. We were supposed to have our first individual presentation on June 27th. But I decided to move the presentation date from June 27th. Let me change this to my teacher role. From June 27th to next week, which is good because there are a couple of people who aren't here today. Next week, you have to give your first presentation. Please make sure you understand that. Next week, you have presentations due next week, okay? You also have group presentations on August 8th. I finally put that into the schedule, and I was reminded by the school that this is something that I haven't done for a couple of years because we've been in the pandemic, but you also need a paper test. Now, this paper test used to be all on paper, but now everything is on Moodle. So I don't call it a paper test, I call it a desk test. And the desk test will be done using the Moodle Safe Exam browser. For those of you who haven't yet used the Safe Exam browser, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but you will need to install this before we do the desk test on August 1st. So today, June 27th, we're going to be focusing mostly, well, actually, let me take this back to my student mode. June 27th, well, come on. We'll be focusing today on practicing for your test your presentation next week. And you also have an exercise for, pardon me, your reflection. This is always due same day at 11 p.m., excuse me. And yeah, that was all that you needed to do for this week. The reflection exercise, and I want to take all of this time today to give you a chance to best practice for your presentation. Now, a couple things about your presentation, okay? You will be doing this all in the same room. There will be 3 groups, and I'm going to show you how the groups will be a little bit later. But there will be 3 groups, and 1 person per group will be giving their presentation. Your presentation will be 3 minutes long, 3 minutes, 4 minutes about. Don't let it go too short. Don't let it go too long. And you will have your presentation recorded on your phone. So as one person is standing and giving their presentation, another person will take that phone and record the person doing their presentation here. No, standing up. This time it's standing up because I want you to be able to see the person from their feet all the way to their head. The person who's taking the presentation, that's their job to make sure that they are constantly in the frame. You then take that and you put it up onto Moodle next week. Okay? If you have any questions about that, you can ask me in Japanese after that's done. But I want you to make sure that you have your phone ready next week. So make sure that you have it ready, that it's working, the back camera is working, that it has 100% power or at least enough power to do the video. Okay? I also want you to be ready next week to be able to do this presentation with no notes. Now, if you notice me, I do this in Japanese, I do this in English, I never have any notes in front of me. Never. You've all seen teachers before who, this is how they teach. They just look down at the piece of paper and they look at their presentation, and to them, that's teaching. I think that's bad teaching. It is also bad presentation. You want to make a good presentation, if you want to make a good appeal to your audience, no notes, no paper. Just looking at the audience, moving your hands around, remembering what you want to say. You don't have to remember every word exactly. Remember the story that you want to tell. Remember the general content that you have ready. You don't have to remember your notes. Today is the last day you can use your notes. I want you to be able to do your presentation without notes. I want you to make sure your camera is ready. And most of all, I want you to be here because you can't do your presentation on any day except now. Okay, if you have any questions, please remember that you can contact me at jdmcruz@gmail.com. Otherwise, come talk to me after the class. All righty, so let me turn off that recording.